Transforming from an IT service provider towards a true product organization can sometimes feel a bit like playing Pac-Man. You are ready to practice a new behavior, like thinking from the customer needs first. You have the problem in mind. You maybe start already validating your first hypothesis. And then it can kick in, because sometimes your new behavior get eaten up by a corporate culture who is not ready yet to somehow think in product and agile. And this is basically the question I would like to explore with you today and share our journey at METRO.digital, which is like a B2B wholesaler operating in Europe and Asia, how we somehow bring this product thinking mindset into our organization and how our agile journey so far looked like. And of course, with some challenges. And therefore, the question of my talk is, and this I would like to answer with you today, is corporate eating product? Question mark. So let's see what you think after my talk. Good. What I have with me today are basically 4 ideas, intervention practices, how we try to bring in the product thinking into the tech organization, but also in the whole bigger setup and company. And my talk basically is around this success formula. So PT stands for product thinking. Bring a bit of product thinking into the hearts and the heads, plus enable product teams. So this is the second PT. And add a bit of an environment that makes it happen. The PC for product culture. And then you get success. And if I look into at least some of the faces, hopefully you don't trust me in saying, okay, if you just do X plus Z plus A, then you get success. And this is also what we, of course, recognized. So are you kidding us? No, come on. This is not a formula or recipe for success. It's more what we consider as a formula for progress. And how we did that, I will explain you in a few minutes, and maybe some of the topics I share with you can you also implement in your organization. And some of you may also think it's not working for us, and this is good because your context might be different than our context is. Good. Few words about me. So thanks already for the nice introduction, Eva. As said, my name is Christina, and I'm working at METRO.digital full-time as what we call a domain owner. So I'm leading a team of 10 Agile Masters. And we are the technical heartbeat of this wholesale organization, METRO. And basically, if I would describe my job to my grandma, I'm saying hey, I'm trying to enable people to act differently. So how I see ourselves in this universe of building technical solutions is more or less that we are change agents. And we have a lot of them. You will see my presentation because we're trying to scale through coaching and through culture and not with SAFe or something like this. This was our decision, but this is basically my approach here. And I have also a favorite quote, which fits also a bit into the keynote we had for Martin in the morning. And it's a Chinese saying that says, crossing the river by feeling the stones. And when you have this formula of progress in mind, this is also how I personally believe change can happen, but also how I see it in our organization happen. So when you think about just explaining people to cross the river and then ask them, I don't know, build a bridge or buy an airplane or whatever, I prefer to somehow make one step after another, explore it together and see how we move forward. Yeah, so the last 15 years, I basically was in consultancy, organized events, was in tech, was in other industries, a bit of HR background. So a lot of stuff I've done, and on the way I fell in love with agility. And I also fell in love somehow with this corporate environment, because sometimes it feels for me that it's even harder with these bunch of people that are in there and I don't know, politics, power games, all the stuff that can happen to somehow make a change happen. And I'm trying to avoid these little Pac-Mans and create an environment of safety where teams can really focus on value creation instead of getting eat up the new behavior left and right. So to give you a bit of context before I go into some examples where who we are. So basically this is like METRO.digital. As said, it's like the technical heartbeat of a global wholesaler. So we are selling basically, unfortunately we're not operating in Lithuania, but like in Poland, and some other like Eastern countries in Asia. And we are, so basically providing food to restaurant owners so that they can sell it and produce nice dishes from it. And also like a trader group is like our target group. And in a nutshell, METRO.digital is like providing the whole digital journey or digitalize it, meaning like from providing a content management system to our 24 countries we are operating in, the Metro app, but also warehouse solutions. If you get delivery, then hopefully you have a truck driver who knows which is the best route to take in order to avoid traffic jam. So basically everything you can think of what a customer could benefit in terms of like digital solutions, we are the ones responsible in this organization. So, and it's a traditional organization, so plus 60 years, like in the last century, the organization was very, very successful with the business model. And then guess what? Something came like the internet and delivery and so on. And also then people woke up a bit and said, okay, we also need to change. So kind of a typical also change situation maybe in other companies or other industries. Giving you a bit of context and background where we are in terms of like the agile transformation, where we are coming from, and having that in mind that like Metro was a very, very successful company in the past years, then at some point when like you ask your IT service provider to, I don't know, make the button blue and or like a lot of list of requirements that you can bring in, at some point, and that's why we are also here, like just making a plan and adding some requirements into a list and then ask the people to just deliver something will not likely go to into a good product and into a good result. So therefore, like from the whole transformation journey is basically Metro Systems. This was the name of the company before. So before, like we are now METRO.digital, was really perceived as like an IT service provider. Just somebody tells you what to do. And also, a quote I still hear like a lot is that the Metro business people are telling, hey, we pay you, so please make the button blue or whatever. Yeah, so a very, very hierarchically oriented organization where just somebody tells you what to do. And then people start asking, and that's where the agile transformation started here, is like, okay, why are you doing it? So what do you would like to achieve with this product? What is the solution about? What is the customer need that you are serving? And then basically people started asking this question. And this was fortunately backed up with like setting up the first agile teams, setting up a first like agile community within the organization, using OKR as a framework for like goal setting, but also how we basically embed the outcome orientation in our organization. And we started like with 3-5 Agile Masters who supported left and right a bit like the organization. So this is where we are, and then we moved on basically in like focusing way more on the product thinking and product mindset, introduced some like a chapter approach, trained our product owners into a direction where they not only look into delivery topics, but also on discovery topics. And then we were grown like 20 people and so on, even established product coaching as a separate team and entity. And the Agile Masters, in our case, are focusing on discovery and delivery in the team. So you see, there was a huge like movement from having a bit of like Agile Masters left and right, and until now, we are really fully embedded in the product teams that are doing. From our like perspective, they are in the machine room and they are producing really value. Yeah, and in 23 and beyond. And that is now the question. So I share you a bit where we are, like some examples, what we've did and how we practice product thinking. But also I sneak in a bit of like advertisement here. So if somebody wants to join, we have also open position also in my team here. So 2023 and beyond. To give you some data, Metro has round about like 100,000 employees. and we are 1,000 techies, so to say. So you see a bit like the difference here. And with having in mind our history, our context, where we are coming from, I would say it's like an infinite number of ideas, opinions, things we could do, outcome we can achieve. So if we just somehow say, okay, everybody brings in an idea or a problem or requirement, you can imagine if like 24 countries with also like different people in there are sending the requirement to us, it will just create a really big overhead in like somehow structuring them and then to give the product team something they can work with. And this basically brought us also to the challenge we are in at the moment, that we're trying to somehow create like a new like collaboration and even mindset and attitude together, that it's not about like, hey, the techies, the IT guys are somewhere else and they're just doing it, and the business guys are somewhere there and they have their expertise. And this is fortunately a colleague from me, like METRO.digital, a technical architect. And he posted 1 year ago like this like Friday thought, how he called it. If you want to be called like IT guys, why won't you stop calling them the business guys? And this is basically describing our problem quite well. And we try to now think about like a term, and we are using this like really from also like a product culture perspective already, trying to incorporate this term like on the way in our conversations. And this is like, let's make BizTech work. And BizTech is for us really the combination how we in this like big environment set things up. Good, so coming to ideas and examples. Where we are struggling a lot is like with the topic product thinking beyond cucumbers. So having like our Metro customers in mind, so they're going to our shop, they buy cucumbers, they buy chocolate, they buy, I don't know, t-shirts, some stuff for their kitchen. And with our like business people, they still have in mind when we're speaking about like agile and product thinking and so on, that it's about like really physical products. And when we're trying to explain them what we have in mind, then sometimes we also need this analogy and to explain it, okay, it's not about cucumbers, it's something else. And what is it really? And this is also like a term, if you take one thing out of this presentation, I would recommend this one, because this is like for us really a core. We are not like operating on like an open market, yeah. So we sell our services, our digital solutions to our Metro customers. And they somehow need to buy this and pay for this. So you see also a bit like a bit of our struggle where we are in. And sometimes we are producing stuff where we believe, like in our agile teams and the Scrum teams, that we are producing value, but actually nobody is using it. And this can be a feature, but this can be also a complete like digital solution that is not used by a country. And this is, it sounds maybe ridiculous, yeah, to create something nobody is using, but in practice, in our case, but I do also believe in your like context where you are in, this can happen a lot. And we always need to ask ourselves, okay, first, what is the value? But also, how can we somehow ensure that somebody is using it? And how we are doing that? By asking all these like questions like, for whom is it? What benefit is it? Does the customer have when he or she is using our product? So having these conversations with our business colleagues. Value in use, and of course, we back it up with data. And this is like an example how we do like data-inspired decision-making. So throughout our journey from like IT service provider to becoming a true product organization, we also said, okay, maybe it's not always like data-driven, because if you have like a good product manager, he or she can be maybe also make a bet on something. So let's use the term data-inspired decision-making instead. And we are forcing like our product teams, really from a product team from 6-7 people, also thinking about, okay, what are your like main metrics you're trying to push? And especially the one that are actionable for you and that you can influence. So this like whole initiatives about like building up dashboards, building up like an attitude that data is actually good and nothing to hide from. So it gives you the possibility to steer, to move into a certain direction. These like dashboards are for us a crucial communication tool we use in the teams, but also towards our business. So when it comes, for example, okay, what do we like to achieve in the next year or the next OKR cycle, then hopefully your data gives you already a bit of input in which direction to move. So having conversations backed up on data, but we've also tried to somehow create a common knowledge and a common language about what we have in mind with product thinking beyond cucumbers. And this is, for example, our internally developed product manifesto, where we said, okay, we see it as a collaboration, as a conversation to somehow come up with these sentences and to use it as principles when we are working together and building up together digital solutions. And you see some overlaps also to the Agile manifesto, also to other maybe topics, but this is okay. It basically is our way of bringing topics together and create this common language. And of course, we also try to somehow sneak in left and right some topics where we can just easily maybe have some knowledge snacks. And this video series we've created is basically to explain also the business people, but also we use it as for internal people or people who are onboarding, that they can understand what we understand when we speak about product thinking and how our product organization works. Yeah, some examples out of the product thinking context, what we did in the last years, and that helped us to somehow move forward, to create a common language, to create somehow a common understanding that helps us also then to really build up strong and empowered product teams. And what we did in this sense is, and just giving you a bit of inspiration, what helped us, and I've shared it with one attendee in the break already, we decided for us that we are having a so-called ideal product team blueprint, where we describe how in our setup the product team should look like. So it's not a must, but it's a should. If you have reasons why you can't follow this, then at least it gives you the possibility to speak about that. And we're set up in a metrics organization, so meaning the product team is really empowered in that sense that there's no formal leader who takes the decision, maybe even on gut feeling. So we have we have a product manager, we have UX people, we have an Agile Master as a mandatory role in a product team who normally acts also as an OKR Master, and then of course developers and whatever is needed to somehow build this product, front end, back end, data analysts. But this is basically how we use it, and it gives also some guidance in terms of what team skills are needed, but also a bit of context where we are in. So if you don't have it, I think it was worth the effort. It was not much effort. You just bring it together, you spread in through communication, and then it can be used in different settings. In our case, for example, if a team is getting too big, then normally we take this as also as a step in deciding which team split can be meaningful. Another example how we build up strong product teams is, of course, also to educate them and train them in a certain way. So we have established our own learning resources that teams can directly approach. We do believe in that they need to somehow feel interested or see a meaning in getting into the one or other topic, and therefore we're not pushing them into mandatory trainings where everybody needs to learn everything. So we try to somehow give them the possibility to deep dive into certain topics. And this is what we have established with the Product Management Learning Radar. So basically, it's accessible for everyone. The teams can do a self-assessment here, and then at the end, they get a bit of information where they are also in comparison to the METRO average. And then we have our coaching teams basically that can also help them to do something with that. Yeah, if someone here, I don't know, would like to now improve the feedback topic or delivery, then this gives an indication, and then someone will reach out to them and see what they can do. And of course, they can also do just self-paced learning. So we have a lot of learning resources curated. And I think this is also important. So we decided there's already so many stuff out there. Why should we somehow create something by ourselves? Let's ensure that we do a curation of topics that fit into our culture and the topics we would like to push forward. So this is a bit from the learning perspective, how we especially support product managers, but also the product teams. And another thing we are doing to somehow ensure that they are empowered and have less dependencies. So in a big organization, you have always dependencies, I would say. But at least we can minimize them to a meaningful manner. And we decided that we would like to have a speedboat approach, but not in the terms of that everybody, I don't know, is sailing to the USA and the other one to Asia and so on. So we should be still like a flotilla. And we decided to go with a chapter approach. So it's not the Spotify chapter, it's more see it as a cluster, as a bundle of our digital solutions, more or less along the value stream. And with this flotilla of speedboats, we're trying to really ensure that the teams can take their decision. Yeah? So they have their dashboards, they are somehow educated, and the flotilla of speedboats ensure that we are still driving into the same direction. And this leads me to another point. I've already mentioned it when it comes to OKRs. We're trying to scale with leadership and not with processes. So we are not safe people at METRO.digital, because we do believe that scaling at a certain manner creates also a big overhead. For our context, this is working. Maybe in your context it's different, so I don't want to judge now about safe or something else. It's just our decision that we made. And when it comes to the scaling, we have basically for us, a very important step is to do it with OKRs. And so OKRs, and also not as a process, more like an attitude, a mindset that we incorporate into the organization. And I personally like this quote from Peter Drucker in the context of OKRs, which says, "There's nothing quite so useless as doing with great efficiency something that should not be done at all." So always asking yourself, is it really, really essential what we are doing here? Is it making a difference? Is it creating value? And these questions can sometimes feel in okay, we're slowing down the process, but come on, if you are really not doing stuff that is not even used, then it's even better. Or sometimes we're also joking around with Scrum, you can solve problems nobody has. Yeah, if you're not thinking about what is really the problem you would like to solve. So also taking the time and getting into these conversations. And that's basically where OKRs come into play. So on all our levels, on chapter level, solution level, product team level, we encourage them to have artifacts around vision, mission, strategy, their OKRs for the upcoming cycle, and then they somehow break it down into more actionable experiments, bets, also epics and stories, depending a bit on what is the team deciding, how they push things forward. So, and you see here, this is a lot in terms of goals. Thinking about 1,000 people are doing OKRs in the small teams. So this is a lot. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of alignment. But I do believe this is definitely worth the time, because you're discussing things and questions even early in the process. So another topic, how we try to somehow scale with culture, is taking the leadership in, and also creating a bit of community around that. This is the community of leadership learning journey. They offer also a bit support here, some training, some self-paced learning stuff, but also a mentoring program. So a lot of things our leaders also need to get in. But also it's basically community-based. And I think this is a good approach, so that not management is pushing you into a leadership program and then people sitting there drinking coffee and asking themselves why I'm here. So trying to somehow create a movement so that they can also support basically the idea of the product teams and the OKR topic. And another thing, and I mentioned this already a bit, is like a scale with coaching. There is like a product skills unit. Recently, there has been like slightly changes in terms of like reporting lines, but the overall concept is here still the same, where we try to bundle all the like enablement and coaching functions, more or less. UX is part of it, responsible for the product quality and product coaching in Agile, somehow bundled with like focusing to reach product excellence. You can read it here by yourself. That's basically what I've also shared in a talk so far, especially the evidence-based decision-making / data-inspired decisions. What is important from my point of view with these enablement functions, you have the knowledge like in-house. I know here also like some consultants, trainer, coaches, and so on. We've also worked with them. And I think this is pretty good, but at some stage, you also need to somehow build up your own change community. This is at least what I believe in. And from time to time, take someone in who gives you new inspiration, because they are really like working in the product teams. They're seeing the problems, they're seeing the resistance, and they also need to somehow tackle with that. And I'm very happy that we have also like the backup from our management. And it seems that we are also proving our value because we are still here after all these years. Okay, and then coming back to our stakeholders. So we've done a lot. Yeah? We've invested into product thinking. We try to set up like a culture and environment that gives the possibility to also scale that to a certain manner. We have this like empowered product teams. And what if stakeholders still think you're an IT provider, then freak out, scream? No, that's basically where we are at the moment. Keep on experimenting. And this is basically still our approach. And what we are doing is we try to somehow bring the teams even more together. Like business help product teams to estimate value, for example, in the OKR discussions. So we're not speaking about like estimating planning and doing roadmaps and project plans. It's about like finding out what is really producing or could be valuable for the business and getting into these conversations. Problems and outcomes instead of just features. So in the past, and I think to some extent we are still somehow like a feature factory, because like a feature is so tangible. Yeah, you have something that you can click on and it does something. And it's nothing bad about features, but you should be aware what is the problem you are solving with these features and what is the outcome you would like to achieve. And having these conversations, it's more like problems and outcomes over like just feature delivering without asking what you would like to achieve with that. Another thing we're experimenting on is basically invest time to really work with the product teams. So for smaller companies, this sounds like, but we're anyhow doing it. Totally understand, and I'm super jealous about that. Like in our case, remembering we have this like 24 countries to set up like a corporate mother who has also some ideas what to do. We can't always invite everyone to work with the product team. It would directly be like in a conference style where you try to somehow do some work together. So therefore, we need to really see what makes sense at what point of time to somehow really get into this working mode. We're trying to do that, for example, with design sprints, so that we then have some representatives of some countries who are involved there, and then how we somehow can really work on some topics. So you see, we're still like a bit struggling here, how to set that up in terms of like the size of our company, but this is like our like goal, what we have in mind to somehow to achieve that. Yeah, and then we have another very specific problem, to be honest, and this is like give product teams access to our METRO customers. So sometimes our product teams are faced with the situation that they would like to test something, they would like to speak to customers, and in the end, they somehow do not have access. And sometimes this is because they do not speak the same language as maybe in Pakistan. Yeah, so then you need to work with translations, or you rely on people in the head office in Pakistan who can help you with that, but then you're not speaking directly to the customers. Sometimes you get responses from head offices in other countries that they are saying, hey, we know our customers, we know what they want, you can ask us, and then you get the solution. So it's also something we would like to overcome, but this is a bit the struggle where we need to experiment on at the moment. Yeah, and then embrace failing faster. The more we build, the heavier to maintain. I guess a bit like self-explaining. And I'm not sure how it is in your organization. In mine, actually, we are sometimes afraid of like getting rid of features. Instead, we keep on adding some stuff and hoping things getting better. But actually, you have more to maintain, or sometimes the experience is even worse. Yeah, so some examples and some struggles, challenges where we are at the moment. What I would like to give you as like a takeaway for today is, so see it as with the small steps, crossing the river by feeling the stones. We added up like product thinking, product teams, product culture, setting up this environment that helps us to move into this direction, making small steps and small progress instead of like expecting like the big success from 1 minute to another. And hopefully this will bring us in the future also to a stage that BizTech has hunger for customer needs, and that we really somehow feel that we're achieving something together for the better. In this case, our customers who put delicious like lunch on the table for us in a couple of minutes. So with this said, happy to get connected on LinkedIn. So I'm always like reachable, and if you have any questions afterwards or in like 1 year, please feel free to reach out to me. We've also, maybe this is interesting for you, we've written like a handbook about our culture, about our metrics organization setup, OKRs and everything. It's for free on our website, and the advertisement about like job offers. So happy to make also an introduction to someone at METRO.digital if you are looking for like a new job. And unfortunately, my book is only in German, but if someone speaks German and has a passion for OKRs, then I'm also happy to get in contact or get your feedback when you have read it. Good. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to Q&A. And your feedback, okay.
Yeah, don't forget, take your phones right now. Well, we have Q&A session, and we know that we have one question online. So people who are online, don't forget that you can write the questions in Wova platform. So because the speaker is quite eager to know your questions and to answer them. So we can start from the question online.
So the first question, could you provide an example of North metric that you are using?
We can look into, can I go back here? Nope.
One moment.
There it is. So basically, this is like a dashboard out of a domain with like 2 products in there. And the one here is like around the content management system. And they decided that they take as a North Star the sessions to commerce. And commerce in our case is basically another like solution. And this is comparable to like a conversion rate. Yeah? So you're converting some traffic into the commerce part, and that is what they can influence, and therefore decided in this case that this is their like North Star metric. And the corporate website in this case is like basically our like corporate websites, but also like we have sister companies. The METRO.digital website is included here, and in this case, the team decided it's about the availability. Yeah, so no downtime. Basically, is their North Star that they can influence, and that the information is always reachable.
Yes, another question to the strategy slide you had. Mm-hmm. Could you pitch into at which level you have these OKRs? So is it each product team doing it, or is it on a chapter, cluster based, or how is that?
Yeah. So our current setup is that we have a so-called digital governance board, which consists of like business people and the tech organization, and they are providing like OKRs on a very like high level and also like 1 to 2 years more or less from the time frame. And these are the ones who are giving guidance for the tech organization. And then it's exactly like you mentioned. So then the chapters would look into the OKRs and decide for the next cycle. In our case, the cycle is 6 months long. So we're not like in this 3 months cycle that OKR is recommending. But nevertheless, in our context, it's working for us. And then you have like the OKRs on chapter level. You have then the OKRs on solution level and the OKRs on team level. What we are avoiding is that we are strictly cascading them just down, and this would lead, from my point of view, just to copy and pasting of some upper level OKRs, and we see them more like as loosely coupled. So it can be also that a team is deciding on a very technical topic that is only implicitly, indirectly paying into another like key result. But it's still like out of the conversations, it gives the organization the focus and also the alignment that we're like sailing to the USA and maybe not to Asia. Yeah, if this is like the thing you would like to achieve.
Do we have more questions?
Hello. You mentioned that the product team don't have a direct connection with the client, yeah? So who is the main stakeholder for the product team? How they know what features or is needed, or maybe it's not worth to do it? How that process goes?
Yeah, exactly. That's sometimes really hard, to be honest. So you need to think about, we have like this setup of there's an IT organization or a tech organization. Then we have like our corporate mother, and then we have this like 24 countries. And in these 24 countries, you have like millions of customers. So you need to find like your way through and see how you can reach the customer. And sometimes it's very easy. I don't know, you go in Germany into a store and just show something to you in this case, and then you can give some feedback. In some cases, it's harder. For the conversations, we try to do it with like OKRs. So in the best case, the countries are talking to their customers. Then the countries are talking to like a business representative, like from our corporate mother. And then we're having already a bit of like focus and hopefully also like outcomes we can work with. And then they go into conversations with the chapter. And the chapter is set up already as like a tandem. So they are co-leading the chapter from business and from tech perspective. But we're not able to somehow speak to all the different customers for all our 150 solutions in all the countries. So we need to somehow bundle them a bit. But in some cases, it's easy to really meet the customer. In some cases, it's getting harder because of like language, availability, maybe also how special the product is, so that you not only can show something to someone, maybe you're in an early stage and you need to do something completely different. So therefore, it depends, like typical consultant answer. Yeah. Exactly. Of course, and then yeah, exactly. And then at the end, we have like a German children play. Maybe you have it also in Lithuania, most likely, that you put a word into someone's ear, and then you go like 10 people, and afterwards you start with, I don't know, you start with OKR, and at the end something comes out like with airplane or KPIs or something like that. Yeah, so ask something completely different. How we're trying to avoid that, and that's a good thing with OKR, we work with transparency and visibility. So everything we try to note down and like bring really it into like we're using a tool for that in our sense. So it's visible, and you have also a bit of like documentation. But still, you have the situation that in some like meetings, something is discussed, maybe also something is decided, documented in another way, and then you end up with, but I have said at the beginning that X, Y, Z, and no, this is not my goal. I had in mind and in focus, and then you have this like conversations. But I think what is the alternative? Like not making things transparent, like selling half of the company. So I think some circumstances we need to deal with, unfortunately. Yeah, but I think you get used to it to some extent, like working in this like manner, and therefore also referring to OKR again. In our context, 6 months is somehow necessary for our OKR cycle, because like involving relevant parties in like the planning and alignment, finding out what is their goal, what can we do, and so on, is like worth the time. And the outcome of our OKR planning is not that we have like a roadmap and a project plan that is over confidentially then planned. So we have like a minimum set of OKRs defined, and then the team hopefully have just enough guidance to get started.
Thank you, Christina.